Okay, so you're suddenly homeless and destitute with nothing but the clothes on your back. What do you do? I've always been somewhat of a prepper and kept a go bag. So I always began being homeless with a tent, a tarp, camping pad, and a sleeping bag. But I've also had times when my gear was stolen or my gear got trashed and had to make do with less or nothing. Homelessness can happen at the drop of a hat. Maybe your partner leaves you and you've got nothing but the clothes on your back. Maybe your car breaks down on the other side of the country and you don't have money to fix it and you hitch into the nearest city destitute. Maybe a loved one dies or you get out of a hospital and you don't have a savings or a backup plan. When homelessness happens, the temperature and the weather can play a huge part in your decision process. Uh, in the summer, you can easily make it with little or nothing comfortably. But early spring, late fall, and winter create challenges for staying warm and dry in the Pacific Northwest. So here's a scenario. So you're suddenly homeless, and it's the middle of the day. It's going to be a cold, wet night, and there's not a 24-hour restaurant, store, or laundromat where you can count on to stay warm throughout the night. The first thing you'll want to do is scout out for things that will ensure your survival and comfort to the extent that you can. The first thing you want to do is scout out. Find a good spot that stealth camp, something that's good enough. It doesn't have to be a long-term stealth camp. It could be something from sundown to sun up. Something that's going to last a few days, maybe even just one day, one night. You could try under a bridge if you don't want to have to worry about getting wet. You want something that's going to be out of the wind and that can keep you dry. So wherever that is, however you can do it, in a stand of pines or evergreens, whatever you can do. Next, you want something underneath you, a camping mat, if you can do that. Cardboard boxes, they're corrugated, and they've got like those holes, lengthways holes in them, and what that'll trap warmth from your body. You might have to stack them up, 5 or 10 boxes, who knows, to really make it do any good. But it's gonna keep you off the ground. It's gonna keep you cleaner if you can, and it's gonna keep you dry to some extent. But mostly, it's gonna keep you a little bit warmer. You can try bubble wrap if you can find any of that. Styrofoam, although that tends to come in weird shapes, but and it won't keep you warm, but it'll keep the ground from absorbing your warmth. So number 3, in scouting, you want something over you, like a tarp, garbage bags, landscaping plastic. Even if you're under a bridge, these items can help trap the warmth and cut down on the wind, or sometimes that sideways rain. It's going to keep you dry. Something for keeping warm is the next item. You can wear all the clothes that you have. I've got a staying warm video. Things like crumpled up plastic or newspaper, putting a trash bag around you, although that's going to collect condensation and make it kind of nasty, but survival. You can do sit-ups during the night. You can eat something. You can pee in a bottle to stay warm. Basically, you're just looking for ways to stay warm. Next, find something to eat. Let's say you don't have any cash. If you're not at a point yet of finishing off somebody else's half-eaten food that you found in the garbage, you can dumpster dive for that extra food that's been sitting under a heat lamp too long, or it's past the expiration date. Maybe dumpster dive at a pizza or donut places. Convenience stores and other stores, grocery stores maybe. Many places will use clear plastic bags for most of their garbage. And then at night, when they're throwing away their expired donuts or pizzas or whatever, they'll put it in a black trash bag so that you can't see it. So a lot of times all you got to do is go into a dumpster and look for a black trash bag out of all the clear ones, and you're more likely to hit pay dirt with some decent food there. Number 6, you want to stay hydrated. Grab a few bottles out of the trash if you have to. Rinse them and fill them up with water or at a sink. I prefer at a sink because at least there you can, turn on the hot water sometimes. You can always go into, a 7-Eleven, ask them if you can use their microwave to heat up your water. It's not going to get you long. It's going to make you want to have to pee a lot, but whatever. But at night, you're going to expel about 1 to 2 liters just by breathing. And so you want to make sure you have water to wake up to. Okay. So these are the things that, are going to get you through that night. Your basic goal is survival, staying as comfortable, as warm, as dry as you can. Do what you can. The next morning, that's when you're going to start doing the real stuff. The first thing you want to do is go to a DHS, which I guess is in Oregon, and Human Services, which is in Washington State. Just, you can go to a library. A lot of times they don't even require that you show them an ID anymore. They just have a little ticket that has a library card number and a PIN number that you can sign in for an hour. But you can look up different DHS offices or whatever. And what you're going to do is you're going to find a DHS office and apply for food stamps. I went down to one, and it took me 4 hours of waiting. But I was able to get in that day. I told them I was homeless. I put that on all my paperwork. They were able to use general delivery to get that, to basically for notices and things. But they give you the card right there in the office. And usually, if you say you're homeless, it'll be activated, within a couple of hours. So now you've got food, okay, and water or whatever. The DHS is going to have a pantry and clothes listing. They're going to give you some paperwork, usually stapled together, and it's all the pantries, all the free stuff that you can get for your situation in the area. What you're going to do is look for several pantries, or actually clothing pantries. They're usually combined, but sometimes not. And you're going to go to several within walking distance. You're going to pick up clothing, blankets, anything that you can to stay warm. Even if that means doubling up or tripling up on clothing. Sometimes they'll have sleeping bags and tarps. It's been my experience that they don't have sleeping bags very often. They don't have tents very often, but tarps, that'll make doing a pinch. Just get the best you can. Coats, hats, socks, underwear, whatever. If you need to ride a bus, you can beg a ride from a bus driver, but don't take chances going further than they can feasibly walk, as you may not be able to beg a ride back if you get to where you're going. Once you've got all that, you're going to go ahead and scout and move to a new stealth camp spot. Usually a place within 1 mile of a grocery store, a library, a pantry, and bus stops is kind of a good rule of thumb. Anything closer than that, you're going to have to contend with other homeless. But at this point, you're better off than you were before, and hopefully you can hit up more clothing pantries and update your clothing and gear. You may be able to get a tent or a sleeping bag. Just keep looking and asking around. Ask other homeless. Sometimes they know of possible places to get what you need. Now, take note. If you have time, try panhandling or floating a sign. You may get lucky and get enough for a tent and a sleeping bag. Hell, you can panhandle anytime throughout this process. Just keep in mind that it's a kind of a hit or miss sort of thing. However, if you're female, you have a dog, or you look more thoroughly homeless, like barefoot and careworn, your chances are better for getting a handout. The next step you'll do, you're entrenched in a new spot. You've got clothing, you've got a place to stay warm. You're staying out of the rain. There's even some YouTube videos on how to make a tent out of a tarp. You've got your camping mat. You're good to go. Basically, your goal at this point is just going to be to consistently hit these different places, these clothing places, and upgrade your gear and clothing. Next, get a free phone if you can. That's going to help especially if you're going to be looking for a job. It's also good for sanity. I mean, these aren't the flip phones that they used to give out 10 years ago. These are, they're not great phones, but they're Android and smartphones, and you can download music and download all kinds of games and stuff to keep you a little bit more sane than you otherwise would be. Um, and then you can get a job. I mean, maybe you can't get a job. Maybe all you can do is collect cans and bottles in Oregon to turn in. I found out that you cannot take bottles and cans over from Washington to Oregon to turn them in. It's like against the law. It's like a misdemeanor, like a kind of or traffic ticket kind of thing. It's not cool, but it is what it is. Um, but basically, a job. There's nothing better that you can do to make money faster. I mean, yeah, you might be able to float a sign. You might be able to make $10, but the minimum wage out here is pretty high in both states. You can get a job, work orientation or whatever, maybe work a few days, and if you can't hack it after that, then at least you've got a paycheck and a couple $100 that you can spend on better gear, better clothing to make it better for the next job that you get. But that's all I got here for you guys. Hope your road's a good one. I hope your homeless experience doesn't suck. And Hobo Yeti signing off.